This is the first video in a series of videos that I'm gonna make where I'm gonna go about how to implement various regression models in R. We're gonna look at linear regression, polynomial regression, decision tree and random forest regression, as well as support vector regression. In the description of this video you find a link to my webpage where you find the full version of the code in this video, including all of the descriptions and visualizations. So I'm not gonna go about this code in detail, and in this first video I just wanted to briefly go about what packages I'm using for the upcoming series of regression videos and also what data I'm working with. The packages are dplyr and ggplot. I'm sure you know about those, otherwise you can find a bunch of videos here on YouTube about that. Then there is a package called rpart that I use for decision tree regression. And then there's random forest as a package that I use for random forest regression. This package E1071 is a package that contains a function for support vector regression, and CI-tools is a package I use for splitting data sets into training and test sets. The data that I use is from fred.com, where I downloaded a couple of economic indicators as time series data in a CSV file. You can see here some lines of code that read this data. It's the US gross domestic product, US gross private investments, US life expectancy at birth, US population over time, and US research and development expenses. And I use dplyr to join all of these data frames that I read with the read CSV function, such that I get one overall data frame with all of the data based on an inner join. As I said, please look in the description and click the link to see the code in detail, including the comments. But basically what I'm doing is I start with this overall data frame and work towards a ggplot friendly data frame that only contains 3 columns with date in the first column, the value of the economic indicators in the second column, and then a description of the economic indicator, or basically an indicator, or the name of the economic indicator in the third column. And this is then a data frame that I can nicely feed to the ggplot function and visualize my economic indicators with. One thing to notice, I use a normalization function that I define here. And that's basically such that my economic indicators are all going from a scale of 1 to 0, from 0 to 1, and this allows me to compare the development of the economic indicators over time. And that's the last thing I want to show in this introductory videos. As I said, in the next videos we're going to look at various types of regression models, but just so you see the data that I'm working with here, you see here the 5 economic indicators visualized here in their normalized form, so from a scale from 0 to 1, and you can see how they are all strongly growing over time. There's a clear trend in all of the data. There's a difference in terms of variance or fluctuation in the data. For example, life expectancy has somehow declined here towards the end of this time span. Please note it's the life expectancy at birth. And you have here, for example, also a dip in the private investment time series. That's probably the financial crisis that somehow is also captured by the data. In the next videos, it's all going to be about which ones of these economic indicators do we want to try to predict. So which ones of those do we want to choose as our dependent variable, and which ones of these economic indicators do we want to be our independent variables. And then we try to make a set of models that try to predict or explain the dependent variables in a regression model, so independent of the independent variables. Yeah, and that's pretty much what we're going to do in the next 5 videos.